and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this next show. I'm Marion Bevington. I'm the vision host, and this is Radio Works World. This platform for me, Radio Works World, has been a blessing that just rained upon me from the wonderful Marina Nani. Marina has been in my life for a few years, and I've always known she was there, even though we very rarely communicated. And I knew that I wanted her to know my message because I knew it would resonate. From what I'd heard of her and I understood from her, I knew that my message would resonate with her and she would be able to help me to share that message. So we initially met because we both wrote books, and now she came back into my life with this platform of Radio Works World. And now I have this opportunity to share my message with Marina, who is listening, I know, and with you, the audience and the team at Radio Works World. This is a tremendous opportunity for us because there is no other way that I could get my message out without me having to promote myself. And you know how difficult that is. We feel that we are blowing our own trumpet, and so we are being arrogant or big-headed, or we feel that we are not good enough. So we don't want to share our message because that would prove that we were not good enough and somebody might criticize us. But when somebody as open and as warm as Marina offers such an amazing platform as Radio Works World is, it gives me the opportunity to have a rant, if you like. This is one of the ways in which I rant, because what I love to rant about, what I have a passion for, what raises energy and emotion in me is my deeply held value that as an individual on this planet, I can share something with other individuals on this planet that can help us all have a better life. And that's what I want. I'm having an amazing life already, and it's better than it was. And I'm happy for it to continue in that direction, getting better and better every day. And so for me, this opportunity to share here on this radio platform is giving me the opportunity to not only share my passion, or rant, if you like, but to share my passion in a way where, firstly, I know Marina's listening, and then I know there are other people who will listen to this. So you're listening to this now, and I don't even know who you are. I don't know how you heard about me, but I do know there must be something that resonates with me, with Marion Bevington, as I am, and with you. And then there's Marina, who is in the middle. She's like she's the magnet who's attracting all of these parts together. And there are so many places that I've gone to for support, so many places and times that I have been able to find teachers, colleagues, co-creators. And that's what I see Marina as now. She's a co-creator with me to make my life better and better. And I trust that I make her life better and better too. Otherwise, she would tell me, or she would no longer need to connect with me. And I really appreciate that. You know, even if people stop connecting with me, they have their reasons for it. And if I choose to take it personally, that's my choice. But I do choose to take it personally when people want to spend time with me. And I see that as something that's fantastic and amazing and helps to lift my spirit about who I am, helps me to live on purpose. And I'm part of a group at the moment. We've published a book called Find Your Why with Cheryl Chapman. And we have a group of wise women. Marina is one of our wise women. We are women who know our why. We know our why. So, you know, what I want to talk to you about today, I think, because when I start ranting, I don't know where I'll go. But what I want to start talking to you about today is a big aspect of finding your why. We've broken it down into 3 areas so that there's an aim to finding your why. The first A of aim, and then I, and then M. So A is awareness of who I am, of what it is that I want, what's stopping me, what's in the way, and what is it that I can do about the block to improve my path to move towards really what it is that I want, to move towards my why. So the A of aim is awareness. Now, this is such a huge subject. And one of the things that's really important about this, in fact, it's the first point that we talk about, is yourself. So really getting to know yourself. Now, I teach yoga, and I use yoga as a therapeutic tool as well when I do coaching, mentoring, and counseling with people. So in yoga, what I've learned through my experience is there is only the present moment. Just now, right now. There is no other moment. There is a picture in my head of the past. There is an image in my mind of the future. But right now is the only thing I have. And from this place now, I can shift into the past, or I can shift into the future. But I have to be here in the now. Even to get into the past, I have to start from now. To get into the future, I have to start from now. And yet, when I am imagining I'm in the past, or I'm imagining I'm in the future, what's happening in the present moment? Well, great studying and work that I've done is that the subconscious mind, or the personality, or all these other parts that make up who I am in this world today, all these other parts, they get to run the show. So the more I'm in this present moment, the more I am running my show. The more I am in control. We're not really in control. The more I am in control of what I do, of who I can be in this moment. And I can only do that by being present. So I want to do an exercise. We've not done this before, I don't think, but we're going to do an exercise right now in this present moment. There is no time like the present. I love that statement. There is no time like the present. So now we're going to be in the present. We're just going to do a very simple breathing exercise. So without changing anything, just notice the next time that you breathe out, just notice what's happening, that the breath is coming out. Is it coming out of your mouth or your nose? That's all you need to notice. And then after you finish that exhale, you'll start inhaling, so the breath will come in. Is it coming in through your mouth or your nose? That's all I want you to notice right now. Don't change anything, just listen and watch and observe. Is the breath coming in through the nose or in through the mouth, and out through the nose or out through the mouth? Just notice and keep your attention on the breath. So as it's coming in, you feel it coming in. And as it's coming out, you don't really feel much when it comes out, but you know it's coming out. So you're breathing in through the nose or the mouth. If you're breathing in through the nose, are you noticing, is it more in one nostril than in the other? And one of the things that we can use to help us stay with the attention on the breath, stay with the breath. As you breathe in, you'll be creating a little draft either in the mouth or the nose. And that inward draft is a slightly lower temperature to body temperature. Unless you're in Morocco, hello Katie, unless you're in Morocco where it's 40 million degrees. And then you might be burning your nose as you breathe in. But if you're in the UK or the States or in Europe, notice that as you breathe in, there's a slightly lower temperature, and as you breathe out, it's body temperature, so you don't notice it. So even though the breath is moving out, and it's at body temperature, we won't notice the temperature because it's like we're immune to it, because we can't feel it. We're numb to it because that's the temperature that we are. But when you breathe in, you'll notice there's a slight difference in the temperature of the air. So just focus on that for a few more breaths. And that's all I want you to notice. Where is the breath moving in and out of? And can you feel the slight difference in the temperature of the air as it moves in and the air as it moves out? That's all. Doesn't matter how long or short, doesn't matter where it's coming from, going to, doesn't matter. Just in and out mouth or nose. And feeling the temperature. I noticed, did a thought just pop into your head? A thought just popped into mine. That's okay, just allow it to pass. And then another thought just floated through. That's fine, just allow it to pass. Come back to the breath. Temperature, is it coming in through your nose or your mouth? If you've got hay fever, you might be breathing through your mouth, hey? So that's one very simple way to get in the present moment. That is actually a form of meditation. So, you know, I didn't have to close my eyes. I didn't have to go to a quiet room. I didn't have to light a candle and a joss stick and put my Buddha on the mantelpiece. I didn't have to do any of those things. I have all the tools I need within me to meditate in any moment. And I can do it anywhere. Do it on the bus, on the train, I can do it in the car, I can do it at work, at home, I can do it on the toilet, in the kitchen, in bed. I can do it here now while I'm online with you on the internet. So being in this present moment, because that's all we have. And when we come into the present moment, it puts us into a powerful place because we take back the control that is ordinarily given over to subconscious, to personality, to all of the things that run the show when our mind is wandered off to the past or the future. Now, I don't know if you've heard this, but there's a I think it's from an Ayurvedic principle. Ayurveda is the traditional ancient medicine practice in India. And I think it's from Ayurveda. They say that people who suffer with depression generally are living in the past. So they're concerned about things that have gone wrong before, things that you can't fix because they've happened already. And people who suffer with anxiety generally live in the future, which is where I live, because they are concerned about, oh no, what's going to happen? I've got to have this conversation. I have to finish this job. I'm going to have to blah, blah, blah. I have to do, I haven't done it yet. So these are all the sorts of people who suffer with anxiety. And most of us are actually split between the two. So we're quite bipolar generally, most of us, just not yet diagnosed. And, you know, so I will dwell in the past occasionally. Oh, I wish I'd done it differently. But then my propensity is for the future, is to go into anxiety and to worry about a conversation that I need to have, something I need to do, something I haven't finished yet. You know, I've made an arrangement with somebody and I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to arrive somewhere on time. Am I going to be punctual? Am I going to be prepared? And then there's the other P, which is perfect. So punctual, prepared, and perfect. 3 Ps that screw up my present. Because if I'm going to be a bit late, so what? If the other person's upset, that's their thing. I can apologise because I am late. I said one time and I'm here at a different time. I apologise if that's created an inconvenience. But if you choose to get up, it's your choice. That's your state and you're in control of that, not me. So we've got punctual, we've got prepared. So can we always be prepared? Do we know what other people want? So we have these soap operas running in our minds, don't we? Where we think we're very good at mind reading. Well, how's that going for you? It's not working for me. I'm not very good at mind reading. I don't know how to do it. But I do it all the time. I run these stories constantly about, oh, she said, he said, he's going to say, she's going to say, it's going to happen like this. Disaster. Oh, the worst thing that could possibly happen if I go to that place. I always realize just how ridiculous it is. But only if I go to that place with consciousness and in a present moment state. But while I'm running there, while I'm running in that future space, it's full of anxiety. And it fills my body with anxiety. So a thought is a wave. A thought is it's a real thing. It's like, okay, there's a beautiful teaching that I know, which is about the mind. So just rewind a little bit to the mind. So what is mind? What do you think mind is? What is your mind? And you change your mind. We all do. So what happens when you change your mind? What is it that changes? So from the yogic teachings that I have been, I've experienced through practice. See, there are two types of knowledge that we gain. We gain information, which makes us very clever, which is one of my patterns again. But this is all my patterns coming out today, aren't they? One of my patterns. Oh, I'm very, very clever. Oh, I love being very clever. I get very proud of myself when I've done something that's a bit clever, a bit intelligent. I think, I'm so clever. And I know where that comes from, because when we were children, we very, very rarely got praised. It was very rare. We got mistakes pointed out all the time. I'm going to actually be able to say more about that in a while. We got mistakes pointed out to us constantly. On very rare occasions when we were told we'd done something right, or we'd done something good, or we were worthy of praise and attention, was when we were perceived as clever. Oh, clever girl. So I understand why I have a subconscious program, why I have some conditioning and programming around clever and wanting to be clever. Because the little 2-year-old in me, it's the only time she felt that somebody was giving her positive attention was when she was clever. So being clever was really, really important to me. So we take all this knowledge in and we use our head to sort it out, to organize it, to rationalize it. But then there's another type of knowledge. There's an embodiment of knowledge. So when I've taken knowledge in and I think it and think it and think it, and I rationalize it and I judge it and I formulate it and I plan it, and then I can do something with it. And through doing something with it, then I can become something from it, become experienced. So with yoga, you know, I can talk through somebody doing a headstand or a handstand, and I can talk them through it very well. I know all of the information. But for me to stand and do the practice, for me to stand on my head, do you think I have to remember all of the instructions? Well, maybe initially to get into the posture, but when I'm in the posture, I'm feeling my body and adjusting my body while I'm in the posture. So it's through embodied experience. It's through being in the body, noticing the body, and taking the body to a slightly different position or balance, or very often when you stand on your head or your hands, I'm sure you all do it all the time too. Hey, I don't do it very often either. But when you are standing on your head or your hands, you need to hold in your pelvic floor. Now, if you pull it in tight, and you could see that I'm doing it, it's kind of anxiety through the whole body. Pulling in the pelvic floor is when you lift up the inner pelvis. So it's when you stop your wee or you stop your poo. You do that through a pelvic floor contraction. But there is a way of actually using the pelvic floor to create a stable foundation. So it's not a pulling, suction, action, using lots of energy. It actually creates a foundation for energy to flow through. So it's not tight and blocking, it's open and flowing, but very stable and very strong at the same time. And all of the physical practices in yoga are actually describable in 2 words, and they are comfortable and strong. So those 2 words in Sanskrit are sthiram, sukham. Sthiram means strong, it means powerful, it means like the strength of a foundation. And sukham means happy, comfortable, flexible, flowing, inflow. Sukham, the density of Sanskrit words is so great. Each one word, you could write a whole book. In fact, many people do write whole books about them. But every single physical posture and practice in yoga, and every single possible posture, which is given the name asana in yoga. So you do yoga asana or asanam. The definition of asana in the Yoga Sutras is sthiram, sukham, asanam. So what it is to be in a posture is to be strong and stable and at the same time flexible and dynamic and happy. So in order to maintain the strength and the happiness and the flexibility and the flow, I have to remain very present in this physical body. So back to mind. I don't know where I was. I got a bit lost, didn't I? So mind is a collection of thoughts. So a thought is like a real thing. So if you imagine a thought is like a starling. So a starling is a blackbird, a small blackbird. It's very sweet. They sing and they hang around in huge gangs. There's a name for a starling gang, but I can't remember what it is. It's not a flock, but we could use flock of birds. So starlings hang around in enormous gangs and they all meet up at the end of the day. And if you live near the south coast of England, in fact, in many different parts of the UK, you will no doubt have seen this phenomena. And I'm sure there are many other parts of the world where this happens. But you'll see just before the sun goes down and just after the sun has come up, if you're an early bird, you see these clouds of starlings that move around, and it's if they have a form of their own. So this whole flock of birds is creating this artistic, dynamic flow in the sky. And then as the sun finally sets, they'll all come and they'll go down and they'll get in the tree or the reeds or wherever they're going to sleep, and they'll all settle down to sleep. So when you see that activity in the sky, that cloud, you can't distinguish one bird. So in the same way with mind, it's very difficult to distinguish one thought. So the mind is the flock and the thoughts are the individual birds. And so thoughts are these little waves of information. And generally they're not new. Generally they are, they've been around for a long time. And most of them are not mine. In fact, probably all of them are not mine. But okay, so let me get my head around the first bit first. So the thought that I'm not good enough, that comes from conditioning. It's probably a thought my mother had and my father had. In fact, there's no probably about it. It's definitely a thought that my mother had and my father had. And it will have been a thought that their mother and their father had, and their mother and their father, and on and on and on. And I can't remember how far back we'd have to go. I don't even know how far back we'd have to go to find the source of that thought. I'm not good enough. But there's a source of it somewhere, but it doesn't matter where it is. What's important to me is in this present moment, when that thought is with me, when my mind has selected that particular thought process to pass across my consciousness or my subconscious and be controlling the show, that leaves me in a very unresourceful state. that often makes me powerless. It puts me into stress. It can often hold me in fight or flight or freeze, in a very unresourceful place. Now, when we're unresourceful, we are, even if we're being present, if we allow ourselves to dwell on an unresourceful thought in the present moment, or what we will notice is with the breath, that it's a bit erratic, or it's very high up in the chest. There's a feeling in the body, an uncomfortable feeling. There's no sukham. There may not even be any sthiram. So no strength. Sukham is happy, no happiness. And when I learn how to stay with the breath and begin to breathe in a way that happens naturally when I'm in a happy place, then I can lead my mind and my mood to happiness. And they can become very happy when I breathe my happy breath. So when I'm angry, there is automatically an angry breathing pattern that goes with it. When I'm sad, I have a sad breathing pattern. When I'm happy, I have a happy breathing pattern. When I'm in love, I have a love breath. When I'm disappointed, I have a disappointment breath. Most of them will have a tone of voice that goes with it. Most of them will have a pace of language that goes with it. Most of them will have phrases and words that go with them. So when I'm angry, I notice that I swear a lot when I'm angry. And sometimes I don't even realize I'm angry, but I hear myself swearing a lot and I think, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that anger is about. And then if I sit and be present and allow myself to be sweary and angry, I can often uncover what's inside the anger. What is it that I'm angry about? And would you agree with me that we often find ourselves, you may be really stressed after a long day at work and you've just got home and the kid comes up, your little boy, and he goes, oh, daddy, I love you. And he grabs hold of your trousers. Unfortunately, you've got your yoga trousers on and he pulls them down and you get angry with him. You just pulled my trousers down. The poor little kid, all he was trying to do was give you some love. So when we're angry, we spew it on people, and unfortunately, we often spew it on those we love. So being aware that I'm angry means that I can begin to choose how I act with that anger, and then I can change my mind. I can change my thought. I can look for, oh, what's that positive thought that I like? This is another yoga practice. It's called Pratipaksha Bhavana, which means other way around attitude. So when you're finding yourself in an unresourceful state, look for the opposite. So a good exercise for you to do is to write down, actually we could do it now. I want you to, if you've got a pen and a piece of paper, or if not, you're in front of your computer. So open a document or get a pen and a piece of paper. And I want you to write down the 3 things that stress you out most, the 3 states that you go into when you're most stressed out. So do you go to frustration? Do you go to anger? Do you go to sadness? Do you go to disappointment? Do you go to confusion? Do you go to anxiety? Do you go to panic? Do you go to stress? So choose the 3 that you feel are the ones that you most frequently fall into. And write those 3 down. And then when you've done that, when you've written down those 3, I want you to write what's the opposite word for you. So if one is hate, you write love. Or if envy, you could write gratitude. Or in anger, you can write joy. In sadness, you could write glee or bliss or happiness. But we all have our own way of translating language, of interpreting, that's the word. We all have our own way of interpreting the language, even though there are dictionaries and they describe the words to us. That's not always how we understand the words. So write down the opposite word. And then I want you to, for the opposite words, for these positive words, these beautiful states, these things that if you could choose to change your mind, and you had a preferred way for your mind to be, how would it be? Maybe one of your states is feeling victimized. So the opposite of that to me would be empowered. Maybe one of your states is feeling lonely. And the opposite of lonely would be lovable or loved. But they're very different, aren't they? Lovable and loved. They're very different. And yet they would result in the same thing, presumably, state-wise. So think really carefully, what are the three words, the three main states? And you can change this at any time, or you can add to the list. You can do more than three if you want to. Maybe one of yours is on the list, is I don't like it when people give me instructions. So you could put as your alternative, choosing to take opinions on if I want to, and leave them if I don't. So when you look at those three positive words, I want you to just write one more thing down. So next to each of the three positive words, I want you to put a little, like a little clue to a time when you've experienced this. So make it into like the title of a movie. So if there was a movie where you've experienced the feeling of deep success, or deep fulfillment, or deep love, or deep bliss, or deep joy, the deepest that you've been with that feeling, just write down the little movie title next to your positive word. So you've got the normal state that you're usually in. You've got your preferred state, which is the opposite of your normal state. And then you've got an example of an experience of the preferred state. And in a little while, we're going to do a practice that's going to help to teach us how to go beyond our limiting beliefs, how to go beyond our limiting states. Tony Robbins says something brilliant, doesn't he? He says, it's in our moments of decision that our destiny is shaped. So what I think he means by that is every time I make a decision, I'm shaping the next few moments of my life. So every decision I make is going to have an impact on the future. Every decision I make in this moment is affecting the next moment directly. So what can I do in this present moment to make sure that the decisions that I make mean that the next moment is going to be better than the one I'm in now, an improvement in the one I'm in now, an appreciation of how great the one I'm in now is. And so understanding that, what is it that helps us to make decisions? How do we make decisions? Well, we make a decision according to the flavor of the bird, according to the flavor of the thought that we are in at the moment, or the belief that we're in. And another thing that I enjoy discussing with clients and students of mine is that a belief is a repeated thought. A belief is a repeated thought. That's all it is. And we've repeated it so often. So we've got some neurology, we've got some brain channels, connections, that mean that we believe it's true. So people who have spiritual beliefs, they believe that they are true. People who have cultural beliefs, they believe that they are true. An example of a cultural belief that I have great fun with sometimes, and other times great displeasure, there's a nice polarizing opposite for me, is rude. People who are rude, people who have bad manners. Well, who wrote the list of manners? Who said that saying please and thank you is important, and that if you don't do it, it's rude? Who defined rude as not saying thank you or please? Who defined that? And how sensible is that? Because I think I might have mentioned this last time, but society's conditioning, the box, the shoulda, should say please, should say thank you box of society, the conditioning that we're given as children, it's thrown to us and we catch it, we've got no choice. We have to just take on what we're given as kids. We don't know what to do with it. We take it in. As adults, we can become discerning. We can choose whether or not we pay attention to something. Do we understand it? Does it fit my why? Does it fit my purpose? And if it does, do I give it great value? Is it worth me holding on to it? And if it doesn't fit any of those, I can just allow it to be. It doesn't have to be in me. I don't have to take it on. So with manners and please and for please and thank you. I remember when I was in India for a couple of years. When I arrive in a new country with a new language, I try to identify a few words that I can use to begin to communicate in the local language. So, you know, hello, goodbye, good morning, please, thank you, what time is the bus, how much are your coconuts? These are the sorts of words that I generally try to find out. Oh, and what time is the train? And in India, is there a ladies' compartment on this train? Where is it? Anyway, where was I? Please and thank you. So I said to people, so how would I say, excuse me, where is the ladies' compartment? And they said, why would you say excuse me? And I said, well, I don't know. I just say that in English. Oh, well, you don't need to say excuse me. And they couldn't even really translate what that would mean in Hindi. So then I said, okay, so somebody's going to say, yes, the ladies' compartment is here. And I will want to say, thank you. And all of the Hindi-speaking people I spoke to, they said, we only say that when we speak English. We never say it in Hindi. They don't even know what the word is. And you know, I can't even remember. I did learn the word for thank you, and I can't. Dhanyavad. Dhanyavad. But whenever I'd say Dhanyavad, nobody even listened. Most people didn't understand it. They just thought, oh, crazy Gauri. Gauri is a crazy white woman. And so they didn't listen to the word because it's not part of their conditioning. You don't have to say please and thank you to be respectful. And is that not really what manners are about? And rude, does that not mean disrespectful? I'm not disrespecting anybody because I haven't said please or thank you. If I say something with a very demanding, demeaning tone, maybe that's disrespectful. But if I ask for something in a way that is just an open request, from one being to another, where is there need to add in a bit that says, oh, and I'm being respectful, by the way? Why even point it out? So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit about my dilemma around manners and rudeness. And it's all about the tone. And as I just said, the tone can be impacted by the, oh, I just got that clever, oh, that clever girl, she drew 2 points together. The tone and the speed of the breath and the quality of the breath, all being in alignment with the mood that I'm in, the type of mind that I have. So in yoga, again, one of the great sutras talks about the mind and the body, and the breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. So we can do a practice now around, I want you to take yourself to the unresourceful state. You know, the first word that you wrote on the list, the negative word that you wrote on the list. If you take yourself to that place now, and if you allow yourself to be in that state. So if you've written anger, think of something that's making you really angry at the moment. If you've written flustered or frustrated or panicked or anxious, think of what is it that makes you feel that way? And really allow yourself to get into the state. So keep thinking about it. So I know, see, for me, I mean, I've got an anxiety about an email that I need to respond to. And I've been waiting since Friday, and it's kind of gets me into this. I'm not sure what it is I want to say yet. I don't feel I've reorganized the information in my head enough to be able to put this in writing, to share it through email with somebody. It would be an essay at the moment, and I need to put it into a short email. So I've got this and just, okay, so speaking about it, my hands are getting a bit sweaty. I'm feeling a little damper than I was. So I've got to write this email. I've got to get the words down on paper. So when I think about this, it really does, and even my feet are getting hot. It's like every part of me is getting hot. So I'm going into fight, flight, and freeze. And my body is now dropping into the sense of my survival is in danger. And this is all being run at a very unconscious part of this brain part down here called the lizard brain, or the reptilian brain. And it just knows if your survival is at risk, I'm gonna start doing stuff. So I'm going to push you into fight or flight so that you can run away really fast and save your own life, so that you can fight and save your own life, or so that you can freeze, and whatever is going to be the predator will think that you're dead and will go away, or won't notice that you're there and will go away. So there's the 3 F's, the fight, flight, and freeze. So whenever I start thinking about anxiety, bringing up anxiety around something, this is what's happening in my brain. And in order to run away or fight or to be frozen, I don't need to have all of my really clever faculties here in the prefrontal cortex and the cortex, which are the parts of the brain that are clever, rational, intelligent, got good memory, good at planning, good at, they do all of the organizing. They're often where the soap operas run too, but we can have good soap operas, right? And then I want you to just forget all of that negative stuff. So you've got yourself up to that state. Now just notice your breath. Notice that you're breathing in through the nose or the mouth. Is the breath high up in the chest? So in that anxiety place, for me, my breath feels like it's really high. It's just in this top part of I'm not breathing down in my belly at all. What else? It's very quick. It's very shallow. So if I was going to blow a balloon up with this breath, it would take a long time and a lot of breaths. There's a tension in my jaw I'm aware of. There's tension around my eyes that I'm aware of. So now what are you noticing about what happens when you drop yourself into that state, that unresourceful, stressful state? Okay, naturally, as I choose to let go of it, I just took in a really nice sigh. Did you hear that? A nice, I can let go of that now. So now I'm going to come into the present because I'm here now. I'm not typing the email. I have got to do it soon, but I don't have to do it right now. But so why would I worry about it now? I'm not even doing it. So I can choose to let go of it. So if I look at the opposite of anxiety for me is playful. When I'm in a playful state, and I'm playful and I'm carefree and I'm childlike, that's my opposite of anxiety. So now I'm going to look at the little name of the movie. Now, at the weekend, I was chanting with some children on Hampstead Heath, and it was great. We had so much fun chanting, and I couldn't stop. The child in me, the inner child in me, she was having so much fun. I allowed her to run the show, and the parents were quite horrified because it went on and on and on. The kids loved it, and I loved it. So I'm in that playful, resourceful state, and I know how that feels. And just for a moment, I want you to place your hands on your heart and feel your heartbeat. So you just connect to the heart. Give the heart lots of gratitude. It keeps pumping every day, all day, whether you pay attention to it or not. It's feeding every cell, every blood vessel. And then in this place of playfulness for me, so close your eyes and go into the opposite of your first word and run that movie. You run your first movie. And really feel yourself playful. Notice the type of breathing that you have in that playful state, or whatever your resourceful state is. Feel how it makes your heart sing or fly or open or light. Expand. What does it do to your heart in that place? Wow. And then notice the breath in that place. How deep, how shallow? Is it through the mouth, through the nose? Is it fast or slow? Really embody that place. And then just allow the breath to become a tiny bit longer. So breathe out just for half a second longer and breathing in for half a second longer. So just slow the breath down. So it just takes one inhale and exhale, takes just 1 second longer. Feeling your heart. Great. And then I want you to go to your second movie. So open your eyes and have a look. What was the second movie? So if I think about my second word would be in flow. So when was I in flow? Oh, it takes me back to the same memory actually, but there's a different part of the memory. So as I was chanting, there was a point at which a sound just kept coming and coming and coming, and I wasn't panicking about breathing in or breathing out, or there was no notion of anything except the movement of this sound. And I was the sound. I became the sound, and we flowed. Me and the sound, we flowed together, hand in hand, across the heath, around the ears of these children, just in flow. So for me, it's flow. What's your second movie? Go there, be there, feel it in your heart. Feel the breathing state that's associated with it. Even if you like to, imagine the neurology lighting up. So imagine the neural network, the brain cells that light up in that state. Which part of the brain is active in that state? It's a fabulous part, fabulous feeling, fabulous place to be. In flow, that's mine. What's yours? Really let yourself be there. And if you can turn it up like you've got an amplifier, turn up flow even more. So if it was at a 10, put it on a 10.5. Ooh, notice how that makes you feel. And then when you're ready, sometimes we just want to stay here forever because it's so lovely. Okay, when you're ready, go to the third point on your list and open your eyes and check that third point out. And where would that third point be? And so for me, there is a sense of the passion that I have when I'm doing these shows here on the radio world works. The passion I have for what I'm sharing with people and the freedom I have. So passion, freedom, sharing, all that good stuff. How does that make me feel? Alive. Makes me feel so alive. So present. It makes me feel really present in this present moment. Full. Fulfilled. Oh, wow. Okay, all these great words are coming to me now. So just in that feeling place, bury yourself in that. Step into it. Immerse yourself in that feeling place. Feel your heart. Feel the way your breathing is. Allow this place, this state of mind to nourish and feed every cell of your body. This state of mind to feed every brain cell. And again, imagine the neurology lighting up, the brain cells lighting up that are associated with this state. Passion, sharing, alive, fulfilled. Wow, powerful stuff, eh? And now in this place, remembering all three of your wonderful states, really fill your body with all three of those states. Immerse yourself, surround yourself, envelop yourself, engulf yourself. It's as if drowning in this wonderful, beautiful state. And from here, I want you to look back at the original stressor. So from here, stay in your heart, stay in your body. And I've got an email to write. And I'm going to swear, who gives a shit? I'm so happy where I am right now. I don't care what's going to happen next. Oh, and if I take this place with me into every next moment, imagine how fabulous next will be. But then that stops me being here and now. So I'm back here. I'm back now. Feel the breath coming in and out. Wow, such a beautiful world I live in. I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to all of you who are listening. I'm so grateful to all my fellow broadcasters. There are so many other amazing people sharing their message on this station. So many amazing, amazing people sharing wonderful messages on this station. Tune in to any of the other shows and you're going to find so much wisdom, so much joy. And if you ever get a chance to share with Marina and Arnie, I think you should do it too. So you can share with Marina at Radio Works World, and you can join me and Find Your Why is a fabulous book that you should read. And my website, Stay in Your Heart, Stay in the Present Moment. I want to anchor all of this into your wonderful state so that you come and check out all the other wonderful stuff that's around later. So bringing in your why. What is your why? What's your purpose? What's so valuable to you that you would die for it? What could you never live without? Even if you don't have it fully in your life right now. What is it that you could never live without? Tony Robbins talks about the art of fulfillment. So there's a science of achievement. There are things that you can model to achieve things. That's the head. But the heart, there's an art of fulfillment. So there's nothing more annoying than a sad, angry, unhappy, grumpy millionaire. How annoying is that? Being a millionaire and being grumpy and unhappy. What a waste. I think all that is a signal is that, you know, there is no time like the present. They're not paying attention to that. Because the one thing that is limited is our construct of time. You can't get time back. You can't buy time. The construct in our mind of time is limited. And yet, the person that I am, my being, is unlimited. So what part of your unlimited self can you unleash and discover and live through in the limited construct of time that we have here and now? Being present and being in the present moment brings you to a resourceful place. It brings you to the place where, you know, when Einstein said, if you live in the place where the problem was found, you'll never find the solution in the same place. You have to move to a different perspective. You have to shift to a different level in order to find a solution. This is what he meant. In the present moment, there may be a problem. A problem is simply a lack of acceptance of what is. And if I totally and fully accept what is, whether I like it or not is not important. That's a judgment. But if I can accept what is, then there are no problems. So problem, the definition of a problem is a lack of acceptance of what is. So when I can accept what is, then I can find a way for me to feel better. So what is, at the moment, there's loads of horrible news. Well, there's always horrible news, because if you do read newspapers or you do watch TV or you do listen to the news, you're going to hear shocking news, because that's the only way they can hold your attention. They get paid for the number of people who watch or read or listen. That's how they get paid. How can they attract my attention? By shocking me. And how can they shock and startle me? By showing me or telling me about the most horrific, grotesque things that they can find. And that will hold my attention. Well, actually, for me, that doesn't work. I have the opposite now. My news is in front of me. My news is in my life. If it's not in my life, in front of me, and I don't watch TV and I don't watch the news, then it's not my news. It's someone else's. And, you know, people, we're all different. So when I talk about this art of fulfillment, we have to remember that we're all different. And that's why it's so important to find your why. Because in the art of fulfillment, recognizing that we are all different is so important. There's a really lovely quote. I love my quotes because it's like a picture paints 1,000 words. Sometimes a quote or a poem can deliver 1,000 words. So there's a really great author from India called J. Krishnamurti. And J. Krishnamurti said a quote that goes something like, Nature is busy creating absolutely unique individuals, and yet culture has invented a single mold into which everybody must conform. How grotesque! So, are you conforming to some aspect of culture, of conditioning, of programming? Are you conforming to things that are not you? These thoughts that have existed forever, that come and attach themselves into the flock of birds that becomes the mind? Or are you choosing the thoughts that you allow to dwell in your mind? Because that's what we can do. We can choose. We can choose to be in a beautiful state as often as possible. We will always fall back into fight, flight, or freeze. It's the mind, it's the job of the brain, it's the job of this reptilian part of the brain. It is a little bit digital, it's a bit black and white. So when we're in pain or fear or that we perceive a problem, let's go. We need to fight or flight or freeze. But when we're not, then we can enjoy, we can be nourished, we can grow, we can have fun, we can be loved, we can give love, we can be love, and we can have a good time. Because this limited construct of time, in those small chunks that we're only given, what, 80, 90, 100 years? And you think about the length of the time the universe has been around, it's not much time. So get on looking for your untapped potential, the infinite possibilities that you are, and find the ones that fit your why, your purpose, and find a way, find a resourceful place to be in where you can start to live from that place, where you can make the decisions that shape your destiny, as Tony would say. So what are you focusing on? You can focus on the opposite, Pratipaksha Bhavana. What are you focusing on? You can find out from the meditation, from the breath, or listening to yourself, swearing. What do you think that means? How can you change it into something else? Pratipaksha Bhavana. We just did that exercise. And then from this positive place, what are you going to do now? What decisions are you going to make? This is such an important message. And being in the present moment is at the root of all of this. And one last thing that I want to share before I ask Marina to join me again. One last thing I want to share is this present moment is infinite in itself, because infinity can be infinitely small as well as infinitely big. And when people drop into very advanced states of meditation, in super advanced states of meditation, we drop into the infinity of all. We drop into the infinity of the whole universe, of the whole being, of the whole of the consciousness, if you like. And in that place, there is no time. And you can only arrive in that place through this portal that is the present moment. So, Marina, would you like to join me in this present moment? Come and join me. Are you here? Are you with me? I hope Marina can join me. And just to say that I do have, she's here, great. Just to let you know that you can come and join me at my website too. My website's called marionbevington.com. So there's loads of stuff about me on there. Marina, welcome to my present moment.
Thank you so much, Marion. I was listening, and you helped me so much over the years, but now I feel your presence in my heart, and there is nothing like now. The present is called the present for a reason. It is a gift of life. It's the most valuable. It's priceless.
There's a lovely poem, isn't there? There's that rhyme. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift, and that's why they call it the present.
And so true. And for our listeners who, for one reason or another, they felt that they are held hostage in their past, you really have to decide that the past is not your destiny. And I was thinking, all I have is right now, this moment in time with you, Marion. And yes. I'm so grateful. And I feel so clear. I got so much clarity in my mind and in my heart. And you spend so much time in Asia, you know that they have the same word for mind and heart, where the rest of the world, we always have to take the longest journey you'll ever going to take, that 18-inch journey between your mind and your heart. Yeah. But you speak from the heart. And at Radio Works World, our genius family of farmers is planting the seeds of greatness together, because we have this divine duty. This is not a 9-to-5 job. This is a divine duty to share your message. Same way that old soldier back in Greece, in antique Greece, ran for their life, not for their life, with their life, for other people's life, to deliver the great news. They ran from Marathon all the way to Athens to deliver great news, to deliver good news. And I think what we are missing is the good news. Is so much goodness about each one of us. Is so much goodness in this right moment, this in time, and right now is nothing I miss. Why would I listen to the news on the channel that they don't listen to me?
It's toxic. News is toxic, and it puts us into shock.
And we are here to create a new channel, a fresh channel of great news, to make the news, and allow each one of us to make the news. You make your own news. And this is only possible when you live in the moment of now, and you understand that what you said, Marion, it's absolutely the core of everything, of our own existence. All we have is right now.
Yes.
So grateful. Thank you for your amazing wisdom. I feel showered with love, with clarity, with wisdom, with I feel that my vision is taking over now. I feel that right now, that dream that I was working to make it, that was work in progress to make it a vision. Now that vision is taking over, is my own reality. And the more I step into it, the more powerful I feel that I live my life with purpose. And I really believe, Marion, that sharing is the sacred secret of living your life with purpose. Sharing the good news, living in the now. Because this is what there is. It's all about living in the now. What happened in the past, where you drawn your lessons from, because there is no losing, is only winning or learning the lessons, is all in the past and have to stay in the past. There is a place for everything.
Yes.
But you create your own time. Right now, if I choose to be happy from within, and I discover I have so much that I have to share it, so be it. I can't help it. I have to share that abundance is coming from inside out, and this is how you make the difference and the fortune for the people who benefit from it.
Absolutely.
And you said before this, and I thought about it for a long time. You said that it's not about others, it's about you.
Yes.
And you have this divine duty to take that seed of greatness you've been given at birth and grow it into a tree, grow into the person you are designed to be, into the person who can deliver your life purpose.
Yes. Absolutely.
Wow, Marion. Absolutely. I don't even know the word. We have to create another word. We have to create a Radio Works World word. No, that will match how I...
Great word. The word from the film, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
That's the word. That is what it is. Thank you so much. I can't wait for your next show, and I can't wait for our listeners to be able to hold in their hands the book we are publishing, The Simple Truth About Your Vision, Great Conversations with Marion Bevington. And it's nothing, it's everything you already shared. But if somebody missed one of your shows, or if somebody perhaps doesn't like listening, they like reading, then there is no excuse. Then there will be the book for them to hold in their hands and pass it on.
No, it's very different, Marina. When you listen to something and when you read something, it has a very different effect in the mind, because when we're reading, we are listening to our own voice in our head. So it's like me telling myself a message from Marina when I read Marina's book. Whereas when I'm listening to you, I'm interpreting the way that you're saying something. But when I read your words, I interpret the way I say it to myself. And that's a very different way to take information in. So even when you have listened to something, and people will know this all the time, if you listen to an audio book and you read some of the book, it's a very different experience. The information is processed in a very, very different way in the brain, if you like, in the mind. So the way that flock of starlings moves, when you're reading, it's a very different configuration to when you're listening.
So true. And we have to make sure we provide the experience, the once-in-a-lifetime experience, and our listeners could choose their preferred experience to make the best of it.
Yeah.
From both of us, until next time, I think is from you, Marion.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you for everybody who's listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.